I'm Ivan, and I'm here to talk about metadata, which is a word that's in vogue nowadays. I hear metadata all over the place. I am the VP of Engineering, File Systems, and Storage for StorNext Corporation, and I will argue that metadata is as valuable many times as the data itself. We have been collecting data as humanity for thousands of years. The Egyptians were very, very adept at recording important events and monuments, and that was a way of distributing information to its people. So it's the first example of archiving. It's also the first example of government spin, since the great Ramses lied to his people about the outcome of the Battle of Kadesh back in 1274. So as civilizations progressed, archiving and collecting data became a simple thing to do. But it brought upon an additional problem, which was the problem of how to get to that data efficiently. And as soon as I get my picture here it is. And I say that that's what metadata is all about. Metadata is an abstraction of your data, is data about your data. And the most beautiful example that I can come up of metadata are those great old looking catalogs and libraries that gave you information not just about the physical location of the book, but they gave you information about the author and perhaps even the narrative structure of the book itself. So now I will talk about two examples to highlight my example. The first example will go to the heady days of World War II, as soon as this advances here, and it will talk about the decryption of the German naval code Enigma. We know about Enigma now. It's in vogue. It's in the media. And I don't know why this is not advancing. But we know about the construction of elaborate thinking machines, about the origins of computer science. And it was these machines that helped us decrypt Enigma, in particular, its most wicked code, the Shark code used by the German Navy, which gave them the ability to encrypt 4,000 billion combinations of every character. And it was this radiogram sent to U-boats in the Atlantic that was the information feed needed by the U-boats to seek convoys. I say to you, by the way, that it was metadata that made it possible to crack the codes as fast as it was done by the cryptographers. The metadata was the way in which the messages were sent, or metadata about the messages themselves. It was, in fact, the books that capture the daily settings of the rotors on the Enigma machine that were rescued at great peril. It was the idiosyncrasies of the radio operators and perhaps sometimes their lack of sophistication in using lower levels of encryption. It was the nature of the messages themselves, the repetition of the information, the repetition of the salutation. So picture this, as these convoys are moving across the North Atlantic, and they're trailing a convoy for 10 hours. They get the same information over and over again, bearing, location, weather forecast. And it was this metadata about the messages themselves that gave us the ability to decrypt faster and faster. And by the way, it is estimated to shorten the war by a couple of years and to save tens, if not hundreds of thousands of lives. So that's one of my examples. My other example has to do with the world of broadcasting. Once again, as soon as I get this to advance, in particular broadcasting racing, MotoGP. MotoGP, with a world audience, is very aware that kids that grow up on video games today are not going to sit and watch racing the old-fashioned way in tracks that look the same. So what they have done is that they've turned the telemetry from the teams into metadata. During the broadcast, you can see the relative position of the riders in the track. You can see their speed. You can see their angle of lean and their inputs on the motorcycle itself, throttle and braking. Right? Moreover, they've learned that as they keep this film, as they store it on disk, and each frame of disk is 4K, if they keep these metadata attributes with the frame itself, the actions of the pilot, the angle of lean, velocity, relative position on the track. At any time, the broadcaster can go back and look for interesting parts of the race and improve the broadcast itself. And the thought is that you, the viewer, will get an understanding of the physical difficulty of riding a motorcycle, as we see the great champion Marc Marquez finishing a lap at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. So how does all of this apply to my boring world of data preservation, of data and storage? Well, in my world of file systems, data is very structural. Metadata itself is very structural. So we have to be efficient at the collection and gathering of this metadata. And once again, I'm trying to advance here to get you guys to the right information. We keep metadata about everything in the file system. We keep file node information, which gives us the physical location of the file on disk, and it gives us, by the way, its rate of growth. We keep information about all the transactions that take place in that file. We keep atomic information about the files, like permissions and ownership. We keep track of how much free space you have left, and vitally, the rate of growth of the file system, which is very important for the hygiene of the file system itself. We also keep track of deletes. All of this gives me what? More efficient creates and deletes and renames, the ability to browse directories, not just with millions, but with hundreds of millions of files, the ability to do different types of I/O, and the ability for the file system to age more gracefully. And this is important to you, because in a world where 1 petabyte is represented by 274 billion blocks, each one of 4K size, you need a file system that is as efficient as it can possibly be. And it has the most efficient data structures possible. And we do all of this because at Quantum, we believe that storing files and storage is not just about keeping your stuff, but it's about doing it as efficiently as possible so that you can get access to your data when you need it and when you want it. Thank you very much.